Israel took one step closer Tuesday to another round of possible elections when alternate Prime Minister Benny Gantz said he would vote to dissolve the Knesset today. He criticized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and said only he could keep the nation from elections.
Netanyahu,
the burden of proof is on you. Bring the budget to the government immediately. Make sure it will pass and promise the unity you only know to talk about in front of the cameras.
Netanyahu lashed back at Gantz, saying Gantz violated the coalition agreements. The Knesset has to vote 3 times to dissolve the government. But if a budget is not passed by December 23rd, Israelis will automatically go to their 4th election in just 2 years. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is joining us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, tell us about the vote today. What does it mean?
Well, as you said, Ephraim, it is the first of 3 votes to dissolve the Knesset. Now, the Knesset has a choice. They can fast track it, or it could take up to a couple of weeks for this to happen. Gantz is happening right now, he's sending a signal to Netanyahu that he doesn't want any political tricks. That's why he said, you know, in the camera, he's saying unity, but behind the scenes is something else. And he's saying that he's the one that can control and avoid elections. He's also accusing Netanyahu, he's trying to keep himself from the upcoming trials for fraud, bribery, and breach of trust, which comes up early next year. And as you said, the real deadline is on December 23rd. That's when the budget is due. If it's not passed by then by law, Israel will have to go to their 4th election in 2 years. You know, someone said today, Ephraim, that the most permanent aspect of this particular government is uncertainty. And ever since it's been formed, you know, several months ago, it really has been teetering, almost like a house divided against itself. All this happening while the coronavirus is going on. And that was the reason for the whole idea of a unity government, was to combat the coronavirus. Right now, Ephraim, you know, 1 in 5 Israelis suffer from depression here. And they're saying that we could be on the beginning of actually a 3rd wave of the coronavirus pandemic here in Israel.
You mentioned uncertainty. If Israel does go to elections, could there be a surprise?
Yeah, there would be. And the way I see it, Ephraim, is a man named Naftali Bennett. He's the head of what's called the Yamina, or the Right Party. Usually in the last few elections, he had 6, 7, maybe 8 seats. But now polling, he's challenging Netanyahu and the Likud party. You know, some of the polls have had him over 20 seats in the Knesset. What that would do, present a real possible challenge to Netanyahu in the next elections, whenever they do occur. He doesn't have the legal clouds hanging over his head. And many Israelis like the way that he handled the coronavirus when he was in the government. Just at the last of the last government, he was the defense minister. When he got out, he had proposals that a lot of people did like. And so if the government does fall, if they go to new elections, perhaps that would be next March if it really does happen. I think the surprise would be Naftali Bennett and his party, Yamina.
So, Chris, how could all of this affect peace agreements we know now as the Abraham Accords?
Well, actually, I think it may not affect it quite as much as you may think, because I think Israelis all over the political spectrum, they think that the Abraham Accords are actually quite good. In fact, just today, there was a delegation from Bahrain. They met with the tourism minister. They have a memorandum of understanding about joint tourism between Israel and Bahrain. I think the main thing that would happen, Ephraim, would be what would happen with the Biden administration. So if the Biden administration came in, I think that would have probably a profound impact on the Abraham Accords. And the other thing that a possible Biden administration would have would be on the Iranian nuclear deal. We've talked about that before. The idea there is that they would try to re-enter the Iranian nuclear deal and have some sort of arrangement with Iran. The Trump administration, obviously, they pulled out of it 2 years ago, and they see Iran really duplicitous about the way they've handled the nuclear deal. So as far as the Abraham Accords, I don't think it would affect it too much if they go to elections. But certainly, if the Biden administration comes in, that will be a game changer, I think, here in the Middle East.
All right, Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for watching that vote today for sure. We much appreciate your time.